Hello, we hope you're doing well. Welcome back to League of Legends News. I hope you guys all enjoy. Going to be a great episode where we debate some controversial things coming from Riot. And alongside that, of course, we're going to talk about the world stages so far going on. Day 3 did conclude today, and it's been a bit of a surprise. So if you guys want the world breakdown so far, we're going to break that down in the back half of the episode. But more importantly, I do believe, based on news released earlier this week, we actually had 12 players given warnings for in-game behavior. Alongside that, though, for the first time in a couple years, it was 3 players and a coach actually given fines by Riot themselves. So this could deem something in the future in terms of punishment, maybe a more closer watch on some of these players out there, but it also does open the questions, was there preferential treatment involved? If you guys did see the 12 players on the list who were given warnings, only one North American player, but Sven's actually Danish, so technically no North American players were caught for this, and you know it definitely goes on. But is this actually Riot seeing preferential treatment for a lot of these athletes out there under their own wings? Because then you look at the fines list as well, only 3 players were fined. One of them was actually Fire from Dire Wolves. He was actually, that was actually last week as well, he was forced to miss some play-in stage matches because of how bad his in-game racial comments were. Now, I'm not going to dive into exactly what he possibly could have said to receive that, because he was the one player that was actually not fined. He was suspended by games, and that's what technically separated him from the rest of the list. Then you look at players like Uzi. He was actually handed a $2,000 fine. That was the largest fine we did see so far for both griefing as well as intentional feeding, and that was the biggest fine by any of these pros on this list itself. It does seem, of course, that's a pretty low number for a person like Uzi. $1,000 can be paid off pretty simply. But it did also seem, of these 3 players and 1 coach, they reached the minimum fine available for each of these offenses. It could have been in-game behavior, negative behavior, could have been toxicity for their language, and alongside that, griefing were the 4 offenses generally listed out there. Nothing too substantial. There was actually going into great detail about what those offenses were. It did seem to be about $1,000 per offense broken. That's why Uzi was maybe charged $2,000. He broke 2 offenses. But then it comes to, you know, the Afreeca Freaks coach. This is actually one of the most stunning stories we've heard in quite some time. His report rate for solo queue matches was allegedly 70%, and he was also on top of that, his account had been watched before for disciplinary action, so he had done this in the past, and he had yet to receive a ban up until now. Still not banned, actually given a $1,500 fine. So again, not really sure how these amounts were actually configured. And again, for when you look at people like Afreeca or the G2 players or the Korean players, any from EU or Korea, really $1,000 fine is not going to mean much. And then it does pull into question, you know, why was this coach not caught earlier? A 70% report rate is absolutely unheard of, especially because his count was marked in the past as well. Was he or was Uzi actually receiving, because Uzi also broke guidelines, he was account sharing as well. He was actually intentionally feeding on not his own account, which does break strict guidelines. So are these pro players? And it would make sense, right? You look at the example right now in real life, maybe Habib and the Conor McGregor fight, right? A lot of things broke out after that. There's definitely 2 sides to that story, but it does seem to be the UFC favoring Conor because he's the golden goose, right? He brings in the money, just like an Uzi. Uzi's one of the better players in the world, if not the best player in the world right now, currently at Worlds. It does seem that there might be some preferential treatment here. And again, if you slap a $1,000 fine on a person like Uzi or a $2,000 fine on him, it might not mean much, but you go down the LMS or the VMS, especially the Vietnamese region, and you slap a fine like that on a player, I guarantee you you'll get results there, more positive results. They will not be doing such in-game toxic things, because that $1,000 probably means a lot more to them than it does to Korean or European or North American players out there. Again, no North American players were on this list right now, although the warning list was far more extensive, the 12 players that were actually receiving warnings. So who knows what this means for the future? I know this drew a lot of questions out there. What do you guys think about this? Did they show preferential treatment for some of these players, and was this fine large enough? Also, very lastly though, something that was actually overlooked by quite a few people out there, it was actually issued by Riot that apparently an enhanced punishment would be given out to all of these players if they continued their in-game negativity or in-game toxicity. That of course probably means suspensions or match bans. So that is one thing that was overlooked, and maybe in the future, of course, if you're already given a warning like these 12 players plus these 3 players, and of course I Love Ooh from Afreeca Freaks, who received that 70% solo queue report rate, in the future, if they continue these actions, they will be punished further. So that's one thing to take away from this. But was there preferential treatment involved, and why was this actually released around Worlds time? It seems very, very convenient that none of these players at Worlds had to miss any matches, besides a player from Dire Wolves who apparently went just beyond belief with his in-game language that he was actually forced to miss matches. So it seems as of right now, if you are working for Riot and you're definitely a better or more well-known player, you have to go above and beyond what the average player does in-game toxicity wise to actually receive any punishment. And very lastly, it's kind of funny to watch the breakdown as well. 3 Vitality members. We also had Hjarnan and Perks, both from G2. We had 2 Afreeca players plus their coach. You look at the breakdown, also 2 Invictus guys were involved in this as well. It's very funny to see that. I don't mean to have a correlation here, but some of the most toxic players in the world, or some of the most toxic teams in the world, are also some of your top teams in the world. So is there a correlation there? You know, the more toxic you are, the better you are. It might be true, but I'm not going to promote that. Anyway, though, let's break down the world's matches so far, which have been pretty stunning. And to me, so far, you guys might disagree. And again, I actually had my prediction video quite a few days ago as well. It was actually within that pick'em timeline only a few hours before, but still, to me, the Flash Wolves have looked the most dominant against, of course, Fong Vu. Not a huge surprise there, but they looked so consistently and slowly dominant against Afreeca Freaks. They are my biggest surprise so far, being 2-0 in Group A. Alongside that, though, of course, you know, Afreeca being 0-2 is a big surprise, but I would not doubt they make it out of this. I think a lot of people kind of overreact to these kind of starts, especially because there are 6 matches in total. There's still 4 matches left for Afreeca Freaks. 2 of those are against Fong Vu. And again, I love the Bulldogs, but you give those 2 automatic wins to Afreeca. If they take both those matches, they can go through with 3 or even 4 wins if needed. I still think Afreeca does go through, but Flash Wolves for me has definitely been a big surprise. Alongside that, though, no one's going to be very surprised by RNG going 3-0 so far. I think they've looked expressively dominant, probably one of our better teams as well. And then I think the biggest surprise of Group B, though, is, of course, Vitality, a slight upset against Gen G. If you guys watched that game, a last second, just a mid push there that was almost out of nowhere. And again, that game could have gone either way. I think I was favoring Gen G until Vitality made that strong move mid. So alongside that, though, the biggest surprise we did see was Cloud9's then victory over Vitality. You expected Vitality over that hype up win against Gen G to, of course, start out 2-0 with an easy win against Cloud9, but Cloud9, I think we can all agree, one of the luckiest wins we will probably ever see at Worlds. The double elder, that late game push there, I think very lucky, and obviously a few misplays by Vitality. And this kind of describes, in my own opinion, again, don't get mad at me, guys, I'm a North American fan. I've been very disappointed so far what we've seen from North American teams. As we move on to Group C, it's been pretty crazy to see. I really did expect. I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised as well to see KT and EDG on top of there, but still, that was one of the groups where I saw, of course, Liquid being our North American favorite, at least taking a map off some of those teams. Now, admittedly, they still have two games left. They can definitely take wins for against Mad Team. If they can pull an upset as well, maybe go through with 3 wins. But what we've seen from Liquid so far has been absolutely being dominated every single game they've played, although they've played some very good teams. So there's definitely 2 sides to this coin here. But when it comes to North American teams, especially a team like when you move on to Group D as well, we have not seen much from these teams so far. They just seem overall outclassed and outskilled in almost every single way. And when it comes to this Group D, I really cannot see a more solidified group, although again, EDG and KT going through would not be a big surprise unless Liquid can pull something off. I don't see it coming from Mad. I think Group D is probably your most solidified group so far. 100 Thieves and G-Rex, really, like we said before, fighting for that 3rd place spot. 100 Thieves only win against G-Rex. Everyone going to be taking down G-Rex is what we presume so far throughout this group, and I think especially the way Fnatic rolled 100 Thieves, but then Invictus rolled, of course, Fnatic. The way they looked against them, Invictus is by far and away your best group here, your best team in this group here, and I cannot see them not going through alongside Fnatic unless 100 Thieves can somehow hope for this. I really do think 100 Thieves have to beat G-Rex in those matchups, and alongside that, hope that G-Rex can upset Fnatic or Invictus Gaming, which I just cannot see. So I really do think Group D, so far from what we've seen, is the most solidified group. Now, of course, anything can happen. It's still best of ones, but what we've seen from North America so far, in my own opinion, has been very disappointing, very anticlimactic. I know it's expected by a lot of EU and Koreans out there, but still by me, it always hurts every single year. But again, Fnatic looked amazing their first matchup, and against Invictus, though, they almost looked, it was child's play. Invictus looking very good, RNG looking very good, KT, of course, looking dominant, alongside them Flash. They are on top of all your groups so far. I hope you guys all enjoyed, though, this episode of League of Legends News. I will see you guys, of course, back here Monday as we break down our main stage playoff teams that are coming very soon here, and I cannot wait to see who exactly makes it through. This weekend is going to be insane. There are going to be hopefully some shifts in the standings there, but again, rip pick'ems for all of you guys out there if Afreeca does not go through. But as always, my name is Jake. I'll see y'all back here next week, and as always, see you then.